Hi, welcome to my channel and welcome to a completely spontaneous video that I'm literally only filming because I just set up this angle for a different video and it felt like a waste to do it for a 4-minute update, so now you get a whole video on this angle because I thought it looked pretty. I was just going through my list of ideas to see what I can film very quickly without taking too much time out of a project I'm supposed to be working on now, and the first thing that cropped to mind was the WIP History Tag, which KT made and tagged me in, I think just under a year ago? Unless I'm wrong and it was just under 2 years ago, but I really want to say it's 1 year, not 2. And the main reason that I've been procrastinating doing this tag for so long is because the first question is to give a brief summary or tagline of your work in progress, and I don't want to do that, so we're gonna move on straight to question 2. The second question is, when did you get your idea for your current project? And the answer to this is, I'm not entirely sure. This was completely discovery written the first time round. It was a nano project I did in 2016, so I guess officially that's when I first got the idea, but nothing about that first draft is the same. So can you really count that as the same book? I'm not sure. So I would argue that the main idea for this book happened when I did my first rewrite, which I'm calling draft 2, and that happened while I was playing a game with my family, and I saw a cool combination of words that I then turned into a title, and that's what sparked this idea. Question 3 is, what were the first elements you came up with? An idea, a dream, a character, an image. And since this was completely discovery written to the point of having done no planning, like I just decided, hey, it'd be cool to do an anno this year, and then started writing, and then the idea came from there, so none of this was pre-planned, it was completely spontaneous. So the first idea was a sentence, and then from that I got a character, and the first sort of interaction with the magic system that happened in the first chapter of that first draft. That character and that scene are actually one of the only things that are consistent across all drafts. The way in which this interaction with the magic system happens has changed, and it's also now chapter 9 instead of chapter 1, but that scene is still there. Question 4 is, what has remained the same in your story? And the answer is not a lot. I have the same character names, even though the characters themselves have changed. I've developed their personalities a lot and just changed their backstories, changed most things about them. It's also still in the same genre, sort of. I originally started with a very fantasy-heavy book. Right now it's more of a blend between fantasy and sci-fi, but it's along the same lines. Then there are also a couple of world-building names that haven't changed, but I'd like to change. I'm just using the same ones as placeholders until I think of something better. And some of the magic system stuff hasn't changed either, but most of it has, just a couple of little elements. The next question is, what has changed in your story and why? And the answer is basically everything. My characters have changed because in draft 1 they were all identical copies of me without any personality whatsoever, and now they are different people, so changed for the better. I also have one character that's actually changed personalities like 4 times, and I'm 4 drafts in, so there's that. The world building has also changed a lot, even though there are some elements that I've kept. The main gist of how this world works has actually been added in draft 2, so it wasn't part of the original, but it hasn't changed since draft 2, 3 and 4. And of course the plot has changed because every single character's motivations have changed since draft 1. The next question, I've lost count of the numbering at this point, is, have you started drafting yet? If so, how much have you written? And if not, what stage of the process are you in? I am currently 4 drafts into the process. My latest draft was 117k words, and it's currently with beta readers, so I am currently on pause with this project and waiting for feedback. I already know some things are gonna change again for draft 5, so I'm looking forward to jumping back into it soon. Okay, so the next question and the question after that were very similar to me, and I wasn't sure how to answer them separately, so I'm gonna answer them as part of the same question. But the questions are, how did you know who would tell the story, and what POV and tense will it be written in? Has it changed over time? So this has changed multiple times, so I don't think that I ever knew what POV it was supposed to be written in. It just sort of happened. Draft 1 was written in first person past using Lisa's POV, and then draft 2 was written in third person past, also using Lisa's POV. But at this point, the main critique that I got from my my boyfriend, who's read every single one of my drafts, was that the story was very difficult to follow through Lisa's eyes, and that he would have other characters explain things to her better and earlier on, so that the reader can keep up with the story. But I didn't like that because I wanted to keep Lisa in the dark, so what I did instead is adding another 3 POVs who actually know what's happening and have a much wider understanding of the world and the plot as a whole, and that way I can make things clear while having Lisa still be kept in the dark and not know what's happening. So to answer the first question, I didn't know who would tell the story, and it was a matter of trial and error until I figured it out. The next question is, do you have a title for your story? When did you come up with it? And if you don't have a title, do you need one before you start writing? I don't usually need a title to start writing a story, but in this case the title is what sparked the idea for that second rewrite and what became the biggest part of the world building. So it was very necessary for this particular story, but I don't generally need one to begin with. And the final question is a bit of a heavy one, and it's, how did you know you were ready to tell the story? And the answer is, I didn't know I was ready because I pantsed it, and then I just kept working on it. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I started, because it started from such a tiny little thing, and it's been building up complexity in every draft. And I'm glad that I didn't know that to begin with, because I don't think I would have felt ready to write it when I started. There's definitely been a lot of moments while working on this book where I thought maybe I should put it down and work on something simpler to begin with. This isn't my first book ever, but it's my first book as an adult, and it's my first time doing something properly like this. And it's a very big project with a lot of complexity, and I definitely don't feel ready to write a sequel now that I know what I'm getting myself into. And that might be why I'm procrastinating it so much and just revising this one over and over and over again, because I'm scared of starting the sequel from scratch and realizing that I don't have what it takes to make the first book justice, even though the first book isn't perfect either. And I still don't think that I'm ready to write this book, even though I have written most of the book. And that was the final question. I hope you enjoyed coming with me on this little trip down memory lane. This was a really fun tag, so if you're not subscribed to Katie already, make sure you do. I hope you're having a wonderful week, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.